That's as loud as my cup of
I gotta get you another towel.
So thank you, Jackie. Okay, Laura Ricky here, Woodstock Deputy Supervisor, calling to order the Woodstock Town Board meeting of Tuesday, June 9th, 2015. We have several topics on the agenda. We have announcements first. I'll let you know, we have a lot of interested people here. I'll let you know the flow of the meeting. Announcements are first. We have a short presentation. We have the public be heard at the beginning of that. But when we get to the resolutions for the smart meters, we do plan to let public speak once the two resolutions are read. So you don't need to feel like you have to speak during the public be heard time between 7 and 7:10. So if you're not talking smart meter, you might want to talk right at the beginning of the public being heard. If you are talking smart meter, you will get a chance to speak after both resolutions are read. So it's up to you where you want to speak. But I want to let people know that there will be public being heard also after both resolutions are read.
Jack, you should have the list.
Public be heard, Weston Wheelock.
Good evening. My name is Weston Blaylock. I'm with Stop Smart Meter in Woodstock, New York. Thank you for having this town board. I'm speaking on the resolution, that's the People's Resolution. One of the compromises we made was to eliminate, there was 3 different types of measuring devices we were going to, there were going to be gas meters, water meters, and utility meters that were in discussion in our resolution. But as a point of compromise, Stop Smart Meters said it was okay to let go on the gas meters. We don't have gas meters in the town of Woodstock, so that was moved. But we do have water meters, and the reason why we let go for the moment on the water meters is that the town said that they'd spent hundreds of thousands of dollars installing smart meters. However, these meters are just as dangerous as the utility meters. Sometimes they work in bubble up mode, which means that they, as you go around to bond and read them, they pop up for the reader. But I myself am a stakeholder. I have a water meter and I have a small reader, a Cornet, which I've taken up close to the FCC device, and it does emit transmission. So it is throwing a small toxic field into my house. And so I'd like to have the town board revisit this issue at another time, but not tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve Roman.
Hi, my name is Steve Romine. I'm with Stop Smart Meters, Woodstock, New York. And I want to say that as the town board contemplates the 2 resolutions concerning the use of analog meters in place of digital meters, one needs to ask, why do we need any resolution at all? The answer to that question lies squarely at the feet of the corporation called Central Hudson Fortis, our utility provider. Unfortunately, they have been operating without the consumer's health and well-being in mind. This is not something new among big corporations as they operate under the main goal of bigger profits. The problem is that they are doing that at the expense of our health. Many people have been finding this out as Central Hudson's new digital meter installations have triggered health consequences for many individuals, including myself, and I am not electrohypersensitive. Contrary to the false claims that digital meters are not harmful by Central Hudson. All of us who have been affected have started groups around the state and nation protesting our health being affected by these digital meters. Not all notice the effects, but enough do, especially the more vulnerable. Children, pregnant women, elderly, and the EHS sufferers, and thus the need for a resolution curbing the installation of digital meters. That being said, it is imperative that we pass the resolution that affords the most protection for the public. Lost my spot. For the most protection for the public. Clearly, that is Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolution, also called the People's Resolution, as 800 people have endorsed it by signing the petition. We ask the town board to respect and acknowledge the will of the people whom they were elected to represent and adopt the People's Resolution.
Hello, my name's Raji Nevin. I live in Woodstock, New York. At the last town board meeting, we were told that the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group would have a part in revising the 2 draft proposals that were presented with regard to a resolution petitioning the New York State Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson to allow utility consumers to retain an analog utility meter and/or to replace any digital meter previously installed, transmitting or non-transmitting, with a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter with no fees or penalties. Approximately 1 week ago, we still had not heard anything from the Woodstock Town Board, and thus Steve Weston and I began to submit questions and suggestions to the Town Board via emails. The Town Board had posted both resolutions, Ken Panza's and Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolutions on their website. However, most questions and suggestions were then ignored by the Town Board members, even after we made it abundantly clear that we wanted to work with them. What became very clear was that the Town Board had made a decision to put their attention and focus on making changes to what has been referred to as Panza's resolution, and simply disregarded what we know and believe to be some very important points in our resolution. We stated this in our emails to the Town Board. Tonight we come to the Town Board with over 800 signatures on a petition, which states, "We, the undersigned, implore the Woodstock Town Board to adopt the electromechanical analog utility meter opt-out with no fees resolution prepared by the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group. This resolution requires that the Woodstock Town Board makes an official request to the New York Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson to provide refurbished analog utility meters to its ratepayers at no cost at the request of the ratepayer. It is clear what the people of Woodstock want, your constituents. We stand in solidarity, and we the people are in favor of passing the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York resolution as is. Our reason for passing our resolution is clear. We know that our resolution has no loopholes that Central Hudson Fortis can jump through. I have 2 seconds. And once our resolution has been submitted, whereas the resolution being submitted to us by the Town Board does have very clear loopholes which cannot be ignored. Thank you.
You're not up. You're number 5. Chris Finley.
But we all want to hear what you have to say.
My name is Chris Finley, and I'm a resident and a ratepayer in Woodstock, New York. I'm here tonight to support the People's Resolution that requests a free analog opt-out. We have over 800 signatures from the people here in Woodstock who agree with us, and that is why we are calling it the People's Resolution. I urge the Town Board to pass this version of the resolution. The first thing I need to say is that 3 minutes is totally insufficient time to explain what I feel needs to be included in the final resolution and why I believe it needs to be included. This could only be achieved with a face-to-face meeting between the Town Board members and members of the Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York group. This face-to-face meeting would have to be in private and would have to include several of the Town Board members rather than just one, as was the case since the last Town Board meeting. And it would also have to include several Stop Smart Meters members of the group. This all basically boils down to giving a utility customer the option to request analog meters, new or refurbished, with no fee. However, the People's Resolution specifically makes certain that there are no loopholes for Central Hudson to exploit, whereas we find the resolution that Ken Panza and Kathy Margarelli has presented has loopholes that will be exploited by Central Hudson.
Thank you.
We need to cover all bases in our final resolution. Ken Panza's resolution covers some of the bases, although there is ambiguity respecting digital, transmitting and analog meters that needs to be cleared up. We need to beef up your definitions list. My first suggestion is, like I said, is for board members to collaborate more in a respectful, face-to-face manner with members of Stop Smart Meters Woodstock, New York, rather than simply emailing each other to death, which creates a lot of confusion and ill feeling. If anyone has been following the email thread between Ken Panza and Stop Smart Meters Group, the failure of this type of communication has been painfully obvious, especially in the last 6 days. I suggest we go back to good old face-to-face communication, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have 4 quick comments. First comment, I want to thank you all, firstly, for considering this resolution. So that's number 1, a sincere thank you. I think it's very crucial, very important. The second thing, I have 1 comment on each of your resolutions. On resolution 2, you keep mentioning smart meters. I'm not going to read it, but you use the terminology smart meters. In fact, everybody's using that terminology. But if you go to Central Hudson's website, I don't know if anybody has done that, there's a question here, question and answer, does Central Hudson use smart meters? The answer is no. So if you talk about loopholes, they claim, no, smart meters are not approved for installation in New York. Central Hudson uses ERT meters. So if you talk about loopholes, I would avoid the terminology smart meters because Central Hudson claims they don't use it. The third thing is, on resolution 1, it appears that you are sending a letter to the New York Public Service Commission. But the elephant in the room, I believe, is Central Hudson that's getting no letters. Now, I'm kind of new at this whole game, but I do know that the train has already left the station with Central Hudson. They have already done, according to their website, 40% with these so-called ERT meters, not what they call smart meters.
10 seconds.
So I think that the board should, if Central Hudson comes on my property and I don't want anything but what I have, which is the analog meter, what's the process that I have to say, get off my property, you can't do it? Just what is that process if the town board could address that either in the minutes or on the website?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so are we on to, do we have any more public input?
Nope, that's it.
We're on to announcements?
Yes, so Mike Reynolds asked me, from the Highway Department, asked me to make an announcement. He'll, starting next week, the 15th to the 29th, they're going to be doing 2 road construction projects, one on Row Road and one on Sherman Road. So if you travel those roads, you can expect a little bit of delay sometime during that 2-week period. The other comment to the board and the public, I know that our community center is getting very close to completion. I know everybody's getting really anxious, and I know that there have been a lot of people trying to get in, including board members with groups of people. And the contractor just asked me, you know, he's very, very concerned about liability. So I assured him that we would not be bringing any more groups in. I know the public is very eager, and in about 6 weeks or so, they'll be all done, and we'll all get to enjoy it. Until then, if we could all just be a little patient and allow him to complete it without having to worry about liability, I think we would all benefit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of activity going on right now, so
It's a mad rush.
So we need to stay out of the way.
Yes.
In reference to the community center, I wanted to thank the architects and Justin Walker for working with me on the brick wall. We've gotten a couple of very nice, larger donations from various companies and places in town. It's been great, and a lot of that's due to all the work that the architects have done with the brick wall and the design of the Louisville bricks. So they're still available to purchase for $100.
Everybody's got to just wait till they... Did you bring your form?
Oh, I didn't bring them to my jacket.
What?
Forms.
The bricks.
They're still being sold for $100, but as I said, thanks to Jess Walker and their architectural firm, we got some really big donations. People buying lots and lots in, big bulk. So thank you to them and everyone else who's been helping.
I see a hand in the back.
Oh, what is it? No, this is...
Well, I didn't know whether there was a question about the...
No.
It is about the community center. I would like the town board to express to the public why, as of now, the plans are not in place to make the public access TV truly accessible to the disabled. And the disabled who want to use or program on the community access TV station are being treated like second-hand citizens having to be given 2 keys instead of 1, so that we, the disabled, can get into the community
I'll
center
answer that, Randy.
by another
I'll
way.
answer that, Randy, thank you. Every producer will be given a ring with 2 keys. They'll have the option of going through the side studio door or the front door. And there's a handicap ramp that goes up the front door, right from the handicap parking. There's another handicap ramp that goes into the back of the studio. So it's fully accessible. So thank you.
I'd like to see that.
Jay had it. I told you we'd go in and take a look. Jay?
But not yet,
Not yet, not until the contract.
not until the
Not until
contract.
it's too late.
I have a couple of announcements, but first I'd like to ask the board to entertain David Siegel.
We have him on
He's
presentation.
come up next
Oh,
after you, Jay, so you...
Oh, good.
You're out of line.
I'm starting. Okay, a couple of things. I was recently driving up Carmel Drive to come up here, and the person driving the car at a high rate of speed came flying out of the exit, rather the entrance. That person was illegal in terms of going the wrong way on a one-way drive at a high rate of speed. I turned around to follow this driver, trying to get the license plate number, but it was gone. When I came back up, turned around, came back up, another vehicle was exiting the entrance to the Upper Carmel parking lot. It's dangerous, it's illegal, it's nasty. I hope the public gets the message, and please don't do that. The other thing I'd like to say is that, the Common Council in Kingston is looking to get onto the ballot in November a change in the law that will allow the Common Council to have a say in the sales of Kingston's water. Now, we all know, I think, that every law that exists depends on the intelligence and the humanitarianism of the people who are looking to enforce it. Certainly, if this vote goes through, I would hope that the members of the Common Council will be as wise as this town board. Nevertheless, I fully support the Common Council's request to get themselves into a position to agree or disagree with the sale of water. And I hope that my colleagues could see the positive necessity of that, certainly in relation to the problems that we've had with Niagara. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, I understand we have a presentation on the Maverick.
David Siegel still here?
Yes, of course.
There he is.
Promise 5 minutes.
Yep, 3, I'll do 3. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak.
You're welcome.
My name is David Siegel, I live in Woodstock. I came here for the arts, and I have been here since 1967. I came here to work at the Woodstock Playhouse, and I've been here ever since. Now, I'm the chairman of Maverick Concerts, which this year is turning 100 years old. And this is something we are so proud of having in our town. I urge you to be a part of our celebration. I've given you, many of you, I can give you one, a brochure that tells you about the thrilling, absolutely thrilling experiences that we have for you. Great artists, great performances. There's one thing that's not listed, which is on June 21st, which is a Sunday, we are having a free series of concerts at the hall to show the community that we are thrilled to still be here. And it's because of the support of people who've come and has been a part of our season. So please know that on June 21st, we have something called Maverick Mash, it will be in the newspaper, it will be everywhere in front of you. We are having great artists coming who will perform for free. We have a special concert for that young lady over there who will come starting at 11 o'clock in the morning on June 21st. I want to see you. And we'll have young people concerts, jazz concerts, and then we have 3 of the greatest classical music stars coming to play for us at 3:30. So it's a whole schedule. You'll come. There'll be trucks of food, whatever. It'll be a great event. Thank you for giving me this time.
So that's 3 to
3 to 5. It's 11 to 5.
11 to 5.
At 3 o'clock, we have the classical music.
David, we need a lot more of these brochures so that the clerk's office can...
I have that for her.
Yep, if you want to.
I'm going to give it to you, yes. You're not going to let me leave without having that. Anyway, please, I'm there at every concert, and I hope to welcome each of you. Some of you I have welcomed, and I look forward to, doing that. You've seen me for years at Dots and Dewey's and at the Grand Union, the A&P. I'm a guy here.
Must be different.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. So please, one thing I have to tell you, as a professional in the theater, these concerts are as perfect as any concerts in the world. And this building, which is 100 years old, was built by artists just for beautiful music. And we continue to have it. Thank you.
I wanted to say about the Maverick, I forget how many years ago they took down, didn't they take the whole front of that building down?
Yes.
And rebuild the entire thing to look exactly like it was originally built, but now it's in much sturdier condition, and that was a real feat.
Historic, each window pane was taken down and
Yes.
numbered and put back.
I know, that was an amazing feat.
Amazing. And we're thrilled to have this in Woodstock and preserve it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's not only 100 years old, it's also the oldest continuous
Summer
music
chamber
festival in the country.
in the country. This is something very special, something to have. Okay, I look forward to seeing you.
So I do have one brief topic I wanted to bring up. Colleagues, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, we had emails about speeding on Western.
Sylvan Shah.
On Glasgow Turnpike, and one of the things I said to the person was, it's more of an enforcement issue than anything, but she's moving forward with getting a petition to ask us to petition the state for a study. In the meantime, Don Gregorius also, they talked to him, and he also mentioned this enforcement. So they finally thought that maybe that would be a wise move, and we're going to have a meeting with Clayton either at the end of this week or next week. And one of the ideas that I put out to Clayton is a possibility. I want to see how you guys felt. The state has this buckle up enforcement where for a week or a month, and the cell phones for a week or a month they concentrate. And I wondered if that was something you might want to consider for speeding, because I know a lot of people I hear from have this issue. So any thoughts on that? Is that something that we might want to consider?
Yes.
Having, a little extra enforcement.
Because a lot of the neighbors have complained about if people did the speed limit, it wouldn't be a problem.
Right.
But they assume they can go 10 miles over the speed limit, so now they're doing 50, 40 mile an hour
And it's residential.
road. And so it would be, I think it'd be great if the police did a little more enforcing there, and extra people just drove the speed limit.
So that'd be something we would be interested in.
Yeah.
Well, they did that in Berkeley Heights in Socrates, because they had the same problem, people running stop signs and speeding through this. They all saw it was people taking shortcuts through the Berkeley Heights. What they found out was the residents who were doing all the
Yeah.
speeding.
They
And
get
rolling
fixed
through the
it.
stop signs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this might get the residents to slow down.
Safety, communication, besides the police, is there communication
Well,
besides
certainly,
to let the town know?
the board would advertise, just like the state does, this is happening, please slow down. Because the point, our point wouldn't be to write tickets, to get people to slow down.
Yeah.
Just Jay, did you have any feelings one way or another on that?
Oh, I said yes.
Oh, okay, you're good with that. Okay. You have a question on that, Jay?
I missed, where is this section of road?
The Glasgow Turnpike is the one that we're talking about in particular. They pretty much said the whole length of it's been a problem.
From 212 to Bearsville.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, probably 20 years ago, a young girl, she used to go to school with my daughter, was killed on that road from a boy speeding. So it's a dangerous, curvy road, and people should drive the speed limit and not faster.
You know, part of the problem, I talk to people all over town who complain that people drive too fast on their roads. They drive too fast on my roads. I think it's a town-wide problem. Glasgow is a particularly bad spot though, because there's no shoulders there. It's all ditches and it drops off. So there's no place to go. There's no place for walkers to go. You can't just step off the road. You step into the ditch. There's no place for a car. If they swerve, two cars coming at each other. That's why this one in particular is a little troublesome. So, I'll meet with Clayton and the petitioners and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm just always amazed, because I did see that in the paper, that was an issue, and of course I know it's an issue, but then I went and drove on Glasgow Turnpike and see that they're repaving it. And I take that road all the time, and I never had a feeling that it needed to be repaved. So I'm always...
Glasgow Turnpike?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But I just thought it was funny that, you know, we want to
There's a
slow people down, but then we go repave it.
There was a pothole on Glasgow Turnpike. It took me a week to find my truck when I went in.
I guess my car is small and I can...
Potholes can be dangerous all by themselves, so also.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm a Dana Mitchell, I live in Old Town, Abby Mitchell, I'm also known as, I just have a question, I don't know whether this would be possible, or if this could be done on a road with that category, but might it be possible to every, I don't know, 500 feet or 1,000 feet, have a big sign that says speed bump?
You might have to put a speed bump in to do that.
There literally are speed bumps and it doesn't seem to be slowing the people down.
So we can mull on that. Okay.
Why don't you just leave the potholes?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh dear. Car problems, I think. Okay, anyway, okay, so we're going to resolutions, anything? Okay. So as a reminder, as deputy supervisor, I don't make a motion, nor do I second a motion, so we have the 4 elected board members who will make motions and second motions and vote, by the way. Anyway, we have 2 quick resolutions, and then we'll bring the smart meter. The first resolution, be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2015 Section 284 agreement with the Woodstock Highway Superintendent.
Second.
Who's going to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Did you second?
Yeah, I heard a second. Any discussion?
Basically what this is, it's something that the state has been looking for a number of years, and we've been a little lax on it. But it's an agreement with the highway superintendent in the town that basically spells out, we put money into the budget to do road repair. Mike has given us a list of the roads, the mileage, and the estimated cost. And we just sign it. This list can be amended or changed, corrected, because a lot of this actually, it says down here, note, depending on weather time and cost changes, this may be amended. So that's basically what that is. Each one of it has to sign it. So
I have the one that needs to be.
So
once you guys
we'll just
approve
do that tonight too, is sign it if we approve
You
it.
have the one we're going to sign.
You guys
Did you
approve
want
that?
to?
You all vote?
Well, we didn't vote yet.
No, we didn't. So-
Okay, ready to vote?
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Jackie's getting your John hand. Okay. The next resolution, I'll go ahead and read. Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Lauren Rose from the Woodstock Planning Board, and be it further resolved to thank Mr. Rose for his service to the town, and be it further resolved to authorize the town clerk to place an ad in the official newspaper seeking a volunteer to fill Mr. Rose's unexpired term, which I looked it up, and I think his term is to end in 2018. So anyway, that's...
I will make that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Laura.
Yes, thank you,
Was
Laura.
that his thanks?
Was it?
You know, I'll take them out after a round of golf, and I'll buy them with you.
So, okay. We have 2 smart meter resolutions for consideration. If you have a copy of the agenda, there's Resolution 1 and Resolution 2. Jay had posted Resolution 2 first, so Jay was going to read Resolution 2 first. Ken was going to, after that, read Resolution 1. After both resolutions are read, we will allow public comment, 2 minutes for each person who wants to speak, and then we will vote, and we will vote in the opposite order that the resolutions were read. So we're calling Resolution 2, which Jay had posted first, so Jay will get to read first.
You're up, Jay.
If anybody's confused about the numbers, so.
Read your resolution.
Resolution 2 is being read first.
Yeah.
Do you have it in front of you?
Of course. In any event, let's go back to the beginning.
Are we reading the resolution?
Yes.
Let's read the resolution.
No. Thanks. This resolution was prepared and brought to the town board a couple of years ago by citizens of Woodstock. They have suffered through, in my opinion, a lot of disdain. They have overcome that with hard work, money, resources all around the country. And they've written a resolution that is clear and cogent. They were quick.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you, and I'm sure people at the back can't hear you, Jay. Could we switch off
This
the AC?
resolution I'm about to read is clear and cogent.
Yeah,
Just
good.
switch off the AC.
Could you switch off the AC so people can hear?
I'll speak louder. Whereas, the title is Resolution for Electromechanical Analog Utility Meter Opt-out with No Fees. Whereas, on June 18, 2013, the Woodstock Town Board adopted Resolution 190-2013, supporting New York State Senate Resolution number S3379, and Assembly Resolution number A-7799, that would give electricity consumers the option to not have smart meters replace their electromechanical analog utility meters, and would mandate that there shall not be a fee to consumers who elect not to use smart meters. And whereas on December 13, 2013, the Ulster County Legislature adopted Resolution number 315, supporting the passage of New York State Senate Resolution S-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 entitled, An Act to Amend the Public Service Law in relation to providing consumers the option to elect not to use transmitting utility meters. The legislature expressed support for action to be taken by the New York State Legislature to prohibit electric utility companies from forcing consumers to utilize smart meters, also known in the aforesaid legislation as transmitting utility meters. And whereas on January 25, 2014, it was reported that Joel Tyner, Dutchess County legislator, introduced a resolution to support State Senate Resolution S-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 that would allow electric customers to decline the installation of all transmitting utility meters. And whereas the intention of the Woodstock Town Board in its Resolution 190-2013, dated June 18, 2013, was to allow Woodstock residents to retain their electromechanical analog utility meter. Now we come to Section 1, definitions. And let me say that definitions are crucial, absolutely crucial. First definition, utility consumer, means New York State utility ratepayers and non-ratepayer occupants, including but not limited to renters, business owners, and any other consumer of electric utility services. Next one, utility provider means an electric company, whether owned privately or publicly, or by another utility provider or other third-party contractors / subcontractors for such purpose. Next one, electromechanical analog utility meter means an electromechanical analog utility meters, ANSI approved, hereinafter referred to as analog utility meter, relating to or denoting a mechanical device that is electrically operated. This is a purely mechanical device using no electronic components, no switch mode power supply, no transmitter, no antenna, and no radio frequency emission. Transmitting smart digital utility meter means any metering device with electronic components and/or any electric or battery-operated meter that is capable of measuring, recording, and sending data from a utility consumer or member to a public utility, municipality, or cooperative or association in a manner utilizing one-way communication, two-way communication, or a combination of one-way and two-way communication with any entity or device. Common names include, but not limited to, AMR, ERT, AMI, LAN, network, bubble up, wake up, smart meter, and power line carrier PLC. Non-transmitting digital utility meter means the digital utility meter currently being offered with a fee to residential utility customers by Central Hudson. It is an electronic digital meter that is the basic platform for the advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter system. A meter that the utility provider can, at any time, without permission of the utility consumer, upgrade to be an advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter. It may or may not contain a transmitter. It does contain components and switch mode power supply, which creates excessive and unsafe amounts of dirty electricity. RF/MW means radio frequency microwave radiation. Dirty electricity means high frequency voltage transients created by switch mode power supply units installed in all digital utility meters. This form of electromagnetic field, EMF, has adverse biological effects on the human body. Trojan utility meter means a transmitting smart digital utility meter or any type of transmitter concealed under an analog utility meter face. Section 2, resolution. A resolution petitioning the New York State Public Service Commission to order Central Hudson, an electric utility provider, to allow utility consumers to retain an analog utility meter and/or to replace any digital meter previously installed, transmitting or non-transmitting, with a remanufactured, ANSI-approved analog utility meter. Well, if that's for me, I'm out. Further, Central Hudson.
No, you want to say.
I didn't get there yet.
No, you were about to say it in the abstract.
I did.
It's okay, just.
The end of the first paragraph in section 2.
You started further, but you hadn't read with no fees.
Right, I know that. I read the first part of section 2 of the resolution, which ended analog utility meter.
With no fees or penalties.
With no fees or penalties.
Well, in this copy, it's down further down, but thank you for catching that. It's not here on my copy. Further, Central Hudson shall provide utility consumer a 30-day written notice in advance of installing any type of digital meter at no additional charges, monthly or otherwise. In addition, Central Hudson must fully inform utility consumers of their rights to retain their analog utility meter. If a utility consumer decides to retain their analog utility meter, they will not incur any fees or penalties. Central Hudson will also allow utility consumer to request removal of a previously installed digital meter with a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter for any reason with no fees or penalties for such removal. Section 3. Purpose. A. All utility consumers shall have the right to retain their analog utility meter at no cost. Each electric utility provider and the New York State Public Service Commission shall adhere to a no questions asked, no fee, and no time limit imposed by the utility provider for retaining an analog utility meter. B. Electric utility providers shall maintain a reasonable supply of refurbished analog utility meters in stock for the opt-out program. C. Where electric utility providers have already installed non-analog transmitting smart digital utility meters or non-transmitting digital utility meters, utility providers shall be required to replace installed transmitting smart digital utility meters or non-transmitting digital utility meters with remanufactured, ANSI-approved analog utility meters within 1 week of the utility consumer's request. Each utility provider and the New York State Public Service Commission shall adhere to a no questions asked, no fee, and no time limit imposed by utility provider for reinstalling an analog utility meter. D. In the future, if the electric utility consumer's analog utility meter needs repair or has to be replaced for any reason, said utility consumer would have the right to a remanufactured ANSI-approved analog utility meter. E. What is to provide electric utility consumers with prior written notice indicating what a transmitting smart digital utility meter ERT or non-transmitting digital utility meter will be installed and inform them of their rights of refusal. F. Electric utility providers shall be prohibited from penalizing or charging utility consumers for any of the above requests. Prohibited actions include, but are not limited to, interrupting or threatening to interrupt utility consumers or service or any other form of intimidation. G. The use of Trojan utility meters by electric utility providers shall be prohibited. Be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board adopts this resolution in its entirety, and furthermore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to implement this resolution in its entirety, and furthermore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy of this resolution to the Honorable Kathy Burgess, Secretary of the New York State Public Service Commission, with the address, we don't need these. Be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy of this resolution to the following individuals: Mike Hine, Ulster County Executive; John R. Paridi, Chairman, Ulster County Legislature; Assemblyman Kevin Cahill; New York State Senator George Amador; and Joel Tyner, Dutchess County Legislature.
I will second for the purpose of discussion.
Well, I think we're gonna read both.
No, say one at a time.
No, that's not,
That's not what we're doing.
we're going to read both and then discuss.
Oh, man, you're gonna dilute this one. This is fresh in our minds. Why?
Well, you have
Very
it,
worried.
you have it in writing, so you can respond.
I disagree, but
Yeah, we'll have public comment. The public comment is not now. Public comment is when both resolutions are read, public comments. We had Ken was going to read resolution.
Well, I'll start with a little preamble like Jay did to sort of explain the background of this resolution. That began 2 years ago when Steve and Raj came to the town board and said their power had been severed by Central Hudson because they tried to replace their ERT analog smart meter with an analog meter. The town board passed a resolution. The Ulster County legislature passed resolutions petitioning the state to allow people to maintain their analog meters and not have to go with the smart meter. In October 2014, Central Hudson announced their ERT opt-out program, which gave people the ability to substitute an ERT meter for a digital meter without the transmitting, without the ERT capability. This opt-out, if you had an ERT meter, would cost you $46 to replace it, plus $6 a month. If you had an analog meter, they would put in a digital meter, it would only be $6 a month. There wouldn't be a single charge. About April, some residents came to the town board and said, that's not good enough. We want to be able to keep our analog meters. The opt-out is confusing, the legal language in the contracts is unintelligible, and so they asked us to do something to allow them to keep their analog meters. There was a group that petitioned, that went to the PSC and said, what can we do? They suggested putting together a petition. I helped them write the petition. A petition was put together, 50 signatures were obtained. We sent a notarized copy of that petition to the PSC, and the PSC has acknowledged they have obtained or have received that petition. If this particular resolution is passed tonight, this resolution will become part of that PSC case. So I then put together a resolution for the town board, which was presented at the May 19th meeting, essentially with the two major components: be able to keep the analog meters and be able to replace any ERT installed meters with an analog meter. We did not discuss price in that resolution, and there was a lot of objection to that. So we tabled the motion, and now it's been reintroduced. Essentially, the big changes were the requirement to eliminate the one-time charge and the requirement to eliminate the monthly fees. We also added two definitions, which we borrowed and rewrote from Steve's resolution, and we did not include any technical information about analog meters. So let me, this particular version of the resolution was released on May 30th. It was distributed to the town board. It's been up on the website. Many of you have gotten copies of it from me, and what I'm going to read is essentially the same, and just so Chris sees, I corrected the spelling.
Good, thank you.
So this should follow exactly what you're seeing in your minutes. A resolution petitioning New York State Public Service to order Central Hudson to allow customers to retain their analog, non-AMR meters under the terms of the AMR opt-out tariff 12.2, case 14M0196. Whereas on June 19, 2013, the Woodstock Town Board adopted Resolution 190-2013, supporting New York State Senate Resolution number S-3379, Assembly Resolution A-7799, that would give electricity consumers the option to not have smart meters replace their analog meters, and would mandate that there shall not be a fee to consumers who elect not to use smart meters. And whereas on December 13, 2013, the Ulster County Legislature adopted Resolution number 315, supporting the passage of New York State Senate Resolution Number S-3379 and Assembly Resolution Number A-7799, entitled, "An Act to Amend the Public Service Law in relation to providing consumers the option to elect not to use transmitting utility meters." The legislation expressed support for action to be taken by the New York State Legislature to prohibit electric utility companies from forcing consumers to utilize so-called smart meters, also known as the aforesaid legislation as transmitting utility meters. And whereas on January 25th, 2014, it was reported that Joel Tyner, Dutchess County Legislature, introduced a resolution to support State Senate Resolution Number 7-3379 and Assembly Resolution A-7799 that would allow electric customers to decline the installation of transmitting utility meters. And whereas on May 22nd, 2014, Central Hudson filed a petition with the Public Service Commission requesting approval to establish tariff fees to residential customers who choose to opt out of using automatic meter reading AMR devices, in other words, ERT meters. The proposed tariffs would allow residential customers to opt out of using AMR devices and instead to have the company install and maintain non-AMR meters and manually read their meters through a bi-monthly in-person meter reads. And whereas on September 8, 2014, the Public Service Commission issued an order, case number 14-M-016196, approving the petition filed by Central Hudson, requesting to establish tariff fees for residential customers who choose to opt out of using automated meter reading AMR devices, ERT meters. And whereas on October 1st, 2014, Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automated meter reading opt-out, lease, 53.8, 53.9, and 5310, in case you're wondering what a leaf is, that's just page in the tariff, became effective and states that existing customers with an AMR meter and upon receipt of a fully executed application will have their meter changed to a digital, non-AMR equipped meter. The customer will be subject to a one-time meter charge, meter change fee, and the monthly non-AMR service fee. And whereas Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automated meter reading AMR opt-out lease 53.8, 53.9, and 5310 states that an existing customer receiving service through a non-AMR analog equipped meter may execute and submit an application to request that service be continued through a non-AMR equipped meter. The customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee, change fee, but will be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And whereas Central Hudson Tariff 12.2, automated meter reading AMR opt-out lease 53.8, 53.9, and 5310, regarding an existing customer receiving service through a non-AMR analog is ambiguous, a customer with a non-AMR meter may execute and submit an application to request that service be continued through a non-AMR equipped meter. The term non-AMR meter can refer to an analog non-AMR or digital non-AMR. And whereas the Woodstock Town Board has received complaints from residents applying to retain their analog meters under the terms of the AMR opt-out tariff, being told by Central Hudson their analog meter would be replaced by a digital non-AMR meter. And whereas the intention of the Woodstock Town Board expressed in its resolution 19213, dated June 18, 2013, was to allow Woodstock residents to retain their analog utility meter. Now that's the same as it was at the last meeting. The next sections are changed. Whereas a utility customer is defined as a Central Hudson electric ratepayer, including but not limited to renters, business owners, and consumers. Whereas an electrical mechanical analog meter is defined as a device that measures the amount of electric energy consumed by a resident's business or electrically operated powered device, which operates by counting the revolutions of a non-magnetic but electrically conductive metal disc that rotates at a speed proportional to the power passing through the meter. Therefore, be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to amend the New York State Public Service Order Case 14M0196, which ordered Central Hudson to provide an AMR meter opt-out, and tariff to order Central Hudson to allow utility customers participating in the opt-out program to retain their installed electromechanical analog meters. The utility customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee and will not be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And furthermore, Be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board petitions the Public Service Commission to amend New York State Public Service Order Case 14M-096, which ordered Central Hudson to provide an AMR meter opt-out and tariff to order Central Hudson to offer utility customers electromechanical analog meters as replacement for installed ERT AMR meters. The utility customer will not be subject to the one-time meter charge fee and will not be subject to the monthly non-AMR service fee. And furthermore, be resolved, the Woodstock Town Board instructs the town clerk to send a certified copy to Kathleen Burgess, and be resolved to send it to the other people that you previously listed.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we're going to begin with discussion by those in attendance. 2 minutes, Jackie's going to do a 2-minute thing, so.
And actually, what we did, Laura, is we just went from road to road to road.
We didn't miss anybody going through.
All right, so we'll start, excuse me? Sure, are you okay if we start that in?
I just have one quick question.
Okay.
One 30 seconds. How do you opt out? That's my question. As a homeowner, how do I want to opt out? What's my next step?
They're not giving you that choice.
There's a form that they're giving you what you don't want.
So if you're not getting Central Hudson involved, that's the elephant in the room.
PSC, we can't order Central Hudson to do anything.
Exactly.
What we're asking is the PSC
Public Service Commission.
to order this.
Yeah, but if Central Hudson doesn't agree with that, then according to them, the train has left the station. How do we stop them from coming on our property and not doing that? That's the key question.
You can't.
So this could be an academic exercise because they could.
All right, next,
Bingo.
let's go next.
Yeah, okay, so why don't we go with,
Does that scream of illegality to anyone? I mean,
come
that's.
on up here so you can,
But you can't ask someone to not come onto your property. It just baffles me. It's not the America I grew up in, that's for sure. Okay, let me speak up a little bit here. My name is Christina Charles. Though I am grateful that Mr. Panza has attempted to draft an opt-out resolution, unfortunately, it falls short of protecting the public properly from Central Hudson. And it does not reflect the will of the people. He did not mention a no-fee opt-out, leaving many people unable to consider it as a real option due to financial constraints. He also does not specify that the opt-out meter has to be a non-microwave digital meter. It also does not serve as an antenna for surrounding utility meters. Furthermore, he does not mention non-digital analog utility meters, new or refurbished, as the opt-out meter on the table. His language is vague at best, leaving Central Hudson free to roll out their digital meters by any of their varying names. And Mr. Panza also did not mention about the nefarious Trojan meters with fake analog faces that still microwave us without our knowing. The resolution by Smart Meters Woodstock, however, is comprehensive in its language with clear definitions that leave no room for Central Hudson to impose their biologically altering, DNA damaging radiation devices on our homes should we choose not to opt in. I implore you to pass the People's Resolution by Smart Meters Woodstock that clearly protects the public as opposed to Mr. Panza's, which falls short of protecting the public. Furthermore, it concerns me that Mr. Panza, who has ties to Central Hudson, would be the one writing the resolution to protect the town from Central Hudson. This to me feels like a conflict of interest and furthers the point that we need to adopt the People's Resolution from Stop Smart Meters Woodstock. If possible, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Romine with Stop Smart Meters. And I thank Mr. Panza also for putting together an effort to approach this subject of no fee and analog meters. Thank you, Ken. And but unfortunately, it doesn't go far enough. If you heard the two resolutions, it's pretty clear that the other one has an incredible amount of detail and covers a lot of bases that is situations we can run into. Jeremy Wilbur, who I've spoken with on this issue recently, before he went, took a leave, stated, when I tried to talk to him about cell towers, he said, well, we've already visited that issue. So that's the mindset of the Woodstock Town Board for the most part, is that once it's done, it's done. And we need to visit this issue and take care of all of the items that are in our resolution that cover all the bases. So please, look at the facts. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make a point of clarification, though. It is my understanding, I haven't talked to all members of the board, but it would be possible to vote both. I think one goes further than the other. I don't think, it's not necessarily either, it could be either or, but I don't know if it's necessarily either or. But that'll be decided. I don't know whether it's necessary that you have to pick one or the other.
Why?
And Alan,
Okay, Roger, you have the floor.
Hi again, my name's Raji Nevin. I live in Woodstock, New York. Most of you know me from the past 2 years of us holding meetings every month, once a month at the Woodstock Library about this issue. We've spent literally thousands and thousands of hours educating ourselves and trying to educate the public in this town. I just want to say that, you know, Steve and I didn't have to do any of this. We've done it to try and help people. That's our agenda. That's our only agenda, is to help people who are getting sick, who don't want these meters on their home, who are noticing they're being forced and not being told. So we don't have any hidden agendas here. That's what we've been fighting for. We're just trying to educate people and give people a choice. The choice that people are being given, hopefully as a result of all this work that we're doing and lots of other people in this room who've done with us, is to get an analog meter with clear definitions of what that is, which we have in our resolution, which is not in Ken's resolution. In fact, if you were paying attention and you reread, what he defines as a digital meter has plenty of loopholes for Central Hudson. That's not what we want to do. And secondly, it's not just about the fee, which was stated by Mr. Panza in the beginning when he was giving his prelude. It's not just about the fee. There's something else I want to say about the fee quickly, and some of you have already heard me say this. It's not that people don't want to pay the fee necessarily. A lot of people would be willing to pay the fee. The problem is that's very short-sighted and tunnel vision. One person pays a fee, they opt out, all their neighbors look at it that aren't educated, and they say, I'm not going to pay a fee, don't even talk to me about it. It makes it 10 billion times easier for us to educate people to take the opt-out if there's no fee attached. That's the main reason for not wanting a fee.
What is that, by the way? Oh, this is a radiation shield. It's organic, it's crystals and metals. It's kind of a little science project, but it actually helps for electrically sensitive people.
We build one for the town hall.
I make them quite large.
Should put out a bid.
Square.
Okay, I just wanted to go over these, the definitions. They're so important, the definitions that are a part of the
There's a
people's
whole bunch of them
resolution.
up here if people want to have definitions. But back here.
Okay, so the point that I want to make is that they cover all the loopholes. Steve's mentioned this before, and it's, let's see where we're going with this. Okay, so these definitions were not just produced by Steve, Raj, and myself. 17 people from around the country worked on this. People from Smart Meters, California, people from Smart Meters in Michigan, and Wisconsin. These were lawyered out. These were to cover every single contingency having to do with this particular issue. And by the way, in California, they've had a long time dealing with this issue. So today, it was rather perturbing when I got an email from Fred. It said, from Ken Panza, he said, we took a careful look at Raj's and Steve's resolutions and its definitions. Our conclusion is the definitions used in the resolution are quite sloppy and inconsistent. So my question is, did Mr. Panza consult with you Or was he talking to Central Hudson? How did this conclusion come about?
I'm an electrical engineer and qualified to evaluate definitions of electrical components. I'm not a lawyer,
Okay,
and it's obvious lawyers did do your definitions.
okay, it said, "We took a careful look," so it's just you took a careful look.
Well, the
Now-
whole board had it, I don't know, I can't say they looked.
Okay, so,
I'm assuming they did.
Well,
all right, so that's my point, that I have a feeling that the elephant in the room is Central Hudson, and that they're driving the town board resolution. That's my, just a,
440 is the candidate? Same.
thank you.
So now we're going to
Does anybody in the next row want to speak?
Second row?
I think we're going from this end to that end. So Iris's row, we're doing Iris's row if anybody wants to speak.
Anybody want to put their arm up?
Okay.
My name is Tara Ryan. I actually live in the town of Kingston, but I'm a native of Woodstock. You know, as I said, when I was here last time, I actually just got over cancer, and I'm a very, very healthy person, dancer, blah, blah, blah. I lived in a cottage for 1.5 years that had a smart meter, and boom, I got cancer. So did my dog, by the way, and I forgot to mention that last time. I can tell you that now that I've been through this experience, I know more about it than you do. And that's the case every time you go through a new experience. You know a lot more about it than most other people unless they've been through it. The same goes for Steve and Raj. They have been through this. They have suffered this more than any other person in this town and on the East Coast. And because of it, they have been without electricity for 2 years, right? 2 years in May? And so because of that, they have had to learn to live their lives without electricity because they have not been able to get it. And so they have studied, learned, worked very, very, very hard with so many different professionals to be experts in this field. I think it is so silly if we do not, as a town, take their advice on this resolution.
Why don't they have electricity?
That's not
Paul was next.
I'd like to point out to the town, 800 people in this town have signed petitions that support the resolution that Jay has presented, which came from the smart meter people. If you people on the board vote against 800 people in this town, I ask you all to resign, because you're not watching out for the best interest
I decline at this point. Okay.
Okay, we're on the third row. The lady in the country. Okay? Yes.
Come on,
Okay.
Tony.
That's Tony.
Sorry.
Tony Wiedenbacher. I think that we have a couple of things happening here. First of all, I don't want anybody to even think about demonizing Ken, who I think has worked very hard on this. But that said, I like the one that Jay read better. It seemed to be a little bit clearer, and it seemed to be pretty obvious that we as Woodstock were saying, no messing with us. Now, we're living in a very awkward time right now, all around. We're becoming the surveillance country in the world. Everything is being watched. The TPP, if they pass, will give everything to the corporations. Woodstock has to practice to saying no. And this is a great thing to practice on because none of us want it.
And I live in Woodstock, and I got a little concerned when I heard the thing about, well, maybe we could adopt both resolutions, because I think it's very important to make sure that we are really clear. I think our definitions in the smart meter resolution that was read first, I think that is the resolution that makes it crystal clear and gives us the most protection. So I think it's really great that we've had all this work put in for the first resolution, but I say, let's adopt the people's resolution and just leave it at that.
Okay, third row, we're going from Jones End across. Oh, we have a volunteer. Yeah.
My name is Abby Mitchell. I live in Woodstock, and I want to support the people's resolution.
Thank you.
Okay, third row, anybody going by? There's Randy.
I'm not going to waste the time to go up there. Everybody can hear my voice. I like the town board, and I don't want to think of you guys the same way I think of the New York State Public Utilities Commission. The last time I've seen the kind of unanimity was when hundreds of people went down to Kingston and 2 other meetings of the Public Utility Commission to oppose the sale of the same utility that we're now battling against to Fortis of Canada. The Public Utility Commission just ignored the largest amount of people that they'd ever seen in this area on that issue. I can't think of a time, certainly since I've been in Woodstock, that anybody's come anywhere near to having 800 names on a petition. Listen to what the town and what the town people and your electorate are trying to tell you, so that we don't have to think of you with the same contempt that we think of the Public Utilities Commission.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Terry Bernardo. I live in the town of Rochester. I'm also the former chairman of the Ulster County Legislature. I have 3 points that I'd like to make to you tonight. The first is that not everybody who is sensitive to electromagnetic radiation is the same. There are people that are allergic to peanuts, shellfish, and bee stings, and there are people that are not. So there may be people that say, oh, this is not a problem for me. But there are people that it's just like bee stings, shellfish, and peanuts that it's very, very serious for. And even the people that think they are not sensitive to it, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're having heart palpitations and they don't know that it really could be their cell phone or Wi-Fi or any other kind of wireless transmission. My second point is the mere fact that there are Trojan utility meters out there is a problem. Yeah. The third point, you are addressing your resolution, and I would like to suggest to somebody on the town board that you make an amendment to your resolution to also urge the New York State Legislature, which is the Senate and the Assembly, and then also Governor Cuomo, to take up Stop Smart Meters New York has been working on a law that is the New York State Consumer Health, Privacy, and Safety Consumer Protection Act. The New York State Legislature will trump the Public Service Commission. The New York State Legislature writes laws for all of the residents of New York State. Once they pass those laws, the Public Service Commission is bound to enforce those laws. I applaud all of the town board members for putting these resolutions forward. I know it's not easy to write them, and I wouldn't sweat all of the details too much because, as you know, yours is not going to be binding tonight. But what you do need to do is somebody needs to make a motion, somebody needs to second an amendment to also urge the New York State Legislature to take up this matter. Thank
you. Laura?
Yes.
I move that we accept gratefully the information supplied to us by...
Okay,
in terms of that amendment to these resolutions.
Okay, are you recommending the amendment to both resolutions is what you're proposing? Any discussion? Or
Well,
do you want to talk about it
why
later?
don't we also, I don't know why since we're talking about this for the moment, I'm not sure why we're sending this to Joel Tyner. He's not in our district, he has not, but I would suggest instead of sending it to him, that, and I was gonna talk about this afterwards, that we should be sending it to the governor.
Well, yeah.
Well, everybody.
Joe Tyner is mentioned in both resolutions. And
So if we're sending it to make him feel happy?
it makes the life.
I would say we should amend it to send it to the governor.
As well, governor
I think
and.
that's
and
what they
legis-
just did.
Well, I think two things. I heard the legislature then to have
Kevin
passed.
Cahill's getting it.
Okay, well, right, okay, here's what I think I heard Jay saying, what I heard Terry say. I think I heard them say that they want the legislature as a body to be given this, and Andrew Cuomo as our governor to be given this. Giving it to our state senator, our assembly person, is getting it in there, but I think we're saying we want to go at a broader level and pass this to the entire body of the assembly and the body of the
In
senate.
addition.
In addition, plus, and I would friend the amendment, I'm not a voter, you would have to say it also Cuomo. If you approve, okay. Okay, so what I would ask is now we have two resolutions that we're gonna vote on later, and now we have a third one, the amendment. No, we're getting there, that's my point.
Let's go back to the
Wait,
floor.
let me finish. I am the chair, let me finish. So I'm just asking Jackie as our, keeps us in order, to remember that now we have Jay's resolution to vote on. When we vote on the other two resolutions, we're also voting on Jay's resolution.
Yeah.
But we're gonna finish the public comment.
It's not Jay's resolution.
Please sit down.
Well,
Okay?
You offered.
Terms are important.
the people's resolution, resolution two, I stand corrected, thank you. Okay, so we were on the third, Randy
Fourth.
spoke last. Wait, Randy spoke last?
No.
You spoke, Terry spoke last. Penny, did you have anything to say? Okay, we're on the fourth row, we're starting this end.
Hi, my name is Ruth Rose, and I have a smart meter. I definitely want the people's resolution that Jay went read, and I don't want us to get confused. I thought it was very confusing. We're going to read out the people's first, last time we read the people's second. So let's just not get confused. That resolution is expertly researched and done and lovingly done for us, and that's the one that I want. I just want to say that I've had a smart meter for a few months. I have never been electronically sensitive, chemically sensitive, any of those things. And I'm not a particularly sensitive person. And I've been having all kinds of symptoms from this meter. Ear ringing and ear problems and cramping and curling of my toes. I mean, I've only had it a few months, God knows. I want to move. I was never informed. So I'm not electronically sensitive. So I don't, I think that's like telling someone who smokes cigarettes, who has emphysema, that they were nicotine sensitive. I think that's a term that's totally being used to fool people, to divert people from the issue, which is that these are harmful to everyone. You don't have to be electronically sensitive, no one is. After you're exposed to it for a long time, then you're sensitive,
Yeah.
So, anyway, thanks.
Good evening, my name is Toby Stover. I do not live here, I live in High Falls. I am an injured person from a smart meter, and I was compelled to come here. Thank you all for your hard work, and thank you for listening and considering this. I have 4 quick points. I really do believe that the Woodstock smart meters people, all of these people have put a lot of research and experience into this, and I really feel that we should all go with this, not just your town, my town as well. I really feel that this is the one that we should adopt, or you should adopt. However, to say, I want an analog, but it's okay for that guy to have a smart meter, means all the dirty electricity from your neighbor is going to come in, and it's going to piggyback in. So it's not enough. A resolution is not enough. You need a dam. You need a law.
Yeah.
That's right. You need to make it illegal
That's
in your
right.
town to have a dam for anyone. Because
That's the ticket.
this lady that just said, well, I can't feel it or I'm sensitive, it is hurting everybody. The third one is
Just like
the
fracking,
fourth one. Just like fracking,
Just
even if
like
they all have fracking there, it's going to affect everyone.
make it illegal.
The fourth thing is, because it's harmful and because it's dangerous, it is also a violation of civil, human, and environmental rights.
Yes.
Not just a health
That's right.
problem. So it has to be banned.
Hello, my name is Michelle Hertz. I'm from Westchester County, and I'm the director of Stop Smart Meters NY. And thank you all. You people in this town have gone further than any place else in the state to bring attention to this. There is one correction I'd like to, or just one thing I'd like to add to the People's Resolution. In the non-transmitting digital utility meter definition, in the second sentence, it says it is an electronic digital meter, and I would say that may or that can be the basic platform for the advanced transmitting smart digital utility meter system. It also doesn't have to be. There are non-transmitting digital utility meters that are not the basic platform for smart meters and that are injuring people. The definitions in this resolution are key. They should not be left out. I don't know why the definition of smart meter would have been left out. If anybody were to Google the names of any of the meters that are being used in New York State, they're all types of smart meters. A Con Edison engineer actually told me that the AMR meters, which are also ERT meters, are just dumb smart meters. So that's what the engineer told me. So again, thank you very much. I just want to also say that I hear from people across the state. From everywhere that the meters are, people are getting sick. It is tragic. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're still on that row. Anybody else in that row? We're on the next row.
I would like to thank Ken for his good work. I didn't like the comment about him being connected to Central Hudson. I think that's not quite plain fair. However, I think that Central Hudson has a lot of influence in general on this subject. And Steve and Raji and the rest of the smart meter folks, Weston, have done an enormous amount of work on hammering out the details. This is a couple of years of PhD level work that they've done on this. And Steve made it very clear, these aren't just their definitions, these are definitions that have been worked out in Boston. So I definitely support the People's Resolution. Thank you, Jay, for reading that.
Anybody else in that row?
Hi, I'm Nancy Butler-Ross from Bearsville, and I want to thank Ken for doing the work he does, and he always puts his nose to the grindstone and has the patience to get through it. However, in this case, I support the People's Resolution and the intense work done by Steve and Raj and Weston. I do want to correct something that Randy said, though. Sorry, Randy, that there is a petition with 800 signatures on it. She doesn't think there's ever been a petition with that many.
Maybe.
About a year, not quite a year
Yankee
ago,
Town
I
Board.
brought a petition, almost 1,000 signatures. It's now over 1,100 signatures. And this board, Ken and Jay were the exception, this board ignored the voice of 1,000 signatures.
Yes, they did.
The 42 neighbors of Yankeetown Pond are still in limbo. I had to call DEP
We are
to
talking
see
about smart
if
meters.
we had, I understand, I'm talking about ignoring the wishes of the people. 1,000 signatures were brought to you previously, a year later, the neighbors are still in limbo. Please, with smart meters, don't make the people being affected wait. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else from that row? Okay.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone on the town board for their hard work. I know Ken has done a lot of research on this, and he's really worked hard on it, and he's come around. I support the strongest possible, most concretely worded resolution. I think the added definitions in the resolution that Jay read are worthy of being included in this thing, and we are dealing with an unscrupulous power company. They're called power companies for reasons. They will jump through any loophole. They will lie to you. I can't believe I'm hearing that they have actually made phony Trojan horse meters to put on people's houses. So the strongest possible wording is really needed for this. And again, I thank the town of Woodstock for getting together and really organizing and making this an issue that everyone can hear about and do the right thing. Thank you.
I just want to say, again, you guys all seem to be on the right side of the fence on this one, but a little bit more on one than the other. You brought up the most salient point that we heard tonight. This is all great, but unless this is made into a law, this is just idle chatter. This is idle chatter. Get this before the legislature, have this voted on, otherwise we're all going to have smart meters. This is the only way we're going to win it. Not with you folks, but you're at the beginning. Pick one of those two resolutions, the strongest one preferably, and get it to the governor and get it to the legislature and get this town 100% behind it. Otherwise, we'll all have smart meters.
Okay, well, are we at the end of your row? Let me just ask first, are we at the end of, anybody else from that row who want to speak? So oh, go ahead.
I asked you to prepare this, but I think it's important that I choose tonight.
Speak up.
The manifestations of dirty electricity are not limited to the effects of smart meters alone. About 3 weeks ago, or 3.5 weeks ago, Central Hudson laid down 26 new power cables in a new financial services building a block and a half from my house. 26 power cables. And I've discussed this with Stephen and Roger. On that day, I developed severe tinnitus for the first time in my life. It's affected my work as a musician. It's affected my life. It's affected my sanity a little bit. I want people to be aware of it. I found a method that I'm hoping has reduced it to some extent, but it's very difficult and a lengthy process. I'm happy to discuss it with anybody. But I just want to warn the tentacles, you know, the manifestations, the implication of the extension of dirty electricity from all the cell phones and the cell towers and all the electronic devices that are permeating the air and surrounding us are manifest, and many of them are unknown and have very severe results.
Let's go around the back, because I think we're to the people people standing in the back? I think we've done the back row, now we have people standing in the back. Anybody else in the back of the room who hasn't spoken yet that wants to take a turn speaking? Come up.
Hi, my name is Serafina, and I'm the vice president of my college in Vermont. So I have some experience working with panels and groups of people. But essentially, I just wanted to pipe in that my mom lives in Woodstock, and we have a smart meter right outside of our house, right outside of her bedroom window. And it's significantly affecting her health to her conscious knowledge, as well as many other people that I care about who are in this room who have known me since I was born. And I think that what's most important, because I think for the most part I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm part of a generation that has severely confused the concept of what is smart in reference to phones or houses or meters with what's easy. And this is not the smart decision, considering how many people are consciously having their lives affected in such negative ways. We have a lot of examples of that, and people who are clearly really, really importantly here to care about it. So instead of making this decision, which is an easy way to assist a corporation in monitoring our lives, just like it's doing with the rest of the world, I think it's really important to acknowledge it's not smart.
Anybody else that hasn't spoken yet that wanted to speak? I know, Jay, you had something.
Yeah, you know, I've been listening to this, and it's sad and it's heartbreaking. And I think, in addition and in parallel what you're doing, in addition of this law, which I think is a great idea, why don't we have some civil disobedience? And the head of the snake is Central Hudson. So why don't we go take this passion in front of Central Hudson? Go to corporate, organize, go to corporate Central Hudson. Find out the name of the CEO.
That's what we should do.
Yeah, Jay Wendt will come.
Handcuffs.
No, I mean civil.
It's the legislature. It's the New York State legislature.
Okay.
That's what
Whoever it is. Find out this, let me finish. No.
You go.
I think it's Central Hudson.
Will you go?
Yes, of course. I will go. And there's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of rationale here. There's a lot of proof here. People are getting sick. Are you kidding me? What's going to motivate you for civil disobedience if it's not the health and welfare of a community? We should get in front of the CEO of Central Hudson. Let him know what the real issues are. And have a little civil disobedience. That's Woodstock.
They don't care. Okay. So anyway, I'm bringing the meeting back.
Dinner's on.
I'm bringing the meeting back. So the purpose of this is to discuss these resolutions. We can't go around the whole room again. I see you got a hand. If you have 5 seconds. 5 seconds, really.
No,
It's 5 seconds.
No, come on. It's at the table now.
But don't come up.
Okay, wonderful, I'll just right here. But I do want to say, because there have been a number of people who've mentioned possible amendments. I didn't think I could get it under the cutoff, but considering the right to know ordinance that was just passed in Berkeley, California, I just would be remiss in not mentioning this, that we may be needing to do that here. The right to know ordinance says that at the point of sale, that the company has to tell the customer of the radiation that's emitting from cell phones in Berkeley. Now, in this case, it would be off of smart meters. You see a pharmaceutical ad, you see tobacco, advertisement, and it will say all of the myriad things. If you have, bleeding, if you're, all these horrible things that happen from taking pharmaceutical drug, or that could happen. Why not mention here the right to know is being violated? Unwitting customer is basically agreeing to getting something they don't even realize is irradiating them. Like Mary Jo, for instance, her meter is right outside of her bedroom. Had she known, she got bigger, but...
Now it's our turn.
But it's a good point. Right to know is a good point. Yeah, I know, we're being asked to come back to
The Pat is the last word. She has this vote.
I think in the resolution number 2, B and C are very important. Requiring Central Hudson to have a supply of refurbished analog utility meters in stock. There is a loophole in resolution number 1 that this covers. in resolution number 2. Because they could say they can't get them. And also, in C, all the meters are, the types are spelled out very clearly. And I feel like in the first resolution, the term non-AMR meter is used too often, and I feel like that's a confusing term. A non-AMR meter, because it can be digital. Right. So it's not too specific.
Okay, thank you. So the board has asked that we bring it back to the board. Everybody did get a chance to speak. Some even twice. Not everybody got a chance to speak twice, I know. But anyway, I'm going to bring it back to the board. We have now, Resolution 1, Resolution 2. We also have Jay's friendly amendment to add that we send this to the body of the State Assembly, the body of the State Senate, and also Andrew Cuomo. We also have, I heard somebody else ask, I'm going through my notes, that, which if somebody makes it a resolution, fine, if not, then it won't be a resolution. But the woman who said that in the non-transmittal definition, instead of saying is, should be, can be, is electronic digital meter that can be a basic platform, blah, blah, blah. If the board not makes a motion in seconds, then we'll...
Well, that's sort of a journalistic change.
Well, it's up to, if anyone wants to make a motion second, we'll vote on that real quick, I think.
I'll make the motion to change those 2 words.
Okay.
In which resolution?
It was the one, it was in resolution number 2.
People's resolution.
Resolution number 2, yeah. So I made a note of that, and so I heard somebody, Kathy said nominate, did you say second?
I second.
Bill second. Does the board want to make that wording change?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we have a resolution wording change, yes, we have that. Okay, the next thing, before we go discussing the 2 resolutions, I think it makes sense to go to Jay's friendly amendment to both.
So I'd like to discuss that for a minute. Jay, I support that. I think it's a good idea. I would ask that you table it for tonight, and that what we do is on Tuesday, next Tuesday, let's deal with these resolutions on Tuesday, bring forth another resolution, and we can find out all the appropriate people that should be, this should be sent to in Albany, and do it then. And I'd be happy to support that motion.
Well, I think I heard a motion to table. Is there a second?
You want to table everything?
No.
Just a discussion of taking this.
Just Jay's amendments.
Well, first of all, back to Jay's amendment first off. Jay made his amendment, resolution. Do we get a second on Jay's amendment?
Yeah, that was
Kathy did, okay, so now we have a motion
So
to
no,
table
well,
it.
I'm asking you, Jay, to consider that.
Why would you want to do it?
Just let's get the appropriate people, let's get the appropriate law so that we can cite that in our resolution. I think it would be much stronger.
Our resolution? Whose resolution?
Hold on. This is a town board.
This is a town
Very important. Have the name of the bill, the law, in your state. You want it? The exact law, the legislation. Do you want that?
Could we,
I mean, what exactly is your amendments? What exactly
Well,
is the word?
his amendment, if I,
Let me hear it in his words.
Terry Bernardino, suggested this to us, which I think is a wonderful idea.
I agree.
And I don't see at the moment any reason why we can't incorporate it right now.
Okay, so what's your wording?
Do you have?
That's why I'm suggesting that if we next week, we can have a much stronger resolution sending this to New York State, saying that we passed this resolution,
Okay.
and we want the state to act on this.
Okay, if that's the rationale for it, then fine. I'll agree to
I'll
it.
tell you right now, I'll vote on it next Tuesday.
Okay. Also, I'm going to have another resolution after we deal with all of this. And that is somebody, I don't remember whom, suggested, I think it was Jim Cohen, that we ban it, just as we did with in addition, when we did that to fracking, we followed it up with a resolution to criminalize fracking.
Yes.
And so there's no reason that I can see why we shouldn't follow up that then with a resolution saying this criminal.
Yes.
But we will prepare a resolution to forward this to the New York State
Will do.
Senate and the Assembly and the
Will do.
So,
Well, so we have a motion to table, do we have a second to table?
Jay's amendment.
Okay, all in favor of tabling? Right, just the amendment of adding those names. We'll add them officially. Right, we're adding them officially, but we're gonna bring that resolution officially to the floor next week to get the right names of who we send it to in the Senate and the Assembly. And we are back at the board, and I am sorry, I know I see hands raised, but we promise everybody gets a chance to speak once, and the board does get to their turn.
Abby, it's up here at the board now. They're not taking comment from the public.
Correct.
I just have a question. When is this going to get voted on?
Right?
Yeah, we're about to discuss it. We're about to discuss it. Now, so we have two resolutions remaining on the floor, numbered in your sheets as Resolution 1 and Resolution 2. What we had said was, well, we hadn't said it, but we had agreed as a board, I think we all agreed, I talked to you before, that we would, the second resolution read would get voted on first.
So it's resolution number 1.
So resolution 1 will get voted on first, and then resolution 2. But both have been made a motion, both have been second. Does the board want to discuss resolution 1 or resolution 2
I do.
further?
I do.
So Jay said I do first.
Oh,
We're not. I don't have a ring.
I can tell you one's enough. What happened?
Do you want to say?
What?
Do you want to say?
I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I thank all of you for all the work you've done, and Ken's done, and I've done. It's been a lot of work, and I think we are pretty much all on the same page. I feel that we all wanted to get a resolution for an opt-out meter without fees. I felt that when Ken did his resolution, and I added a few definitions, it was the beginning of what we were looking for, a simple opt-out resolution that we didn't have to pay for with the meters. What's happened is I've had a long conversation with Chris on the telephone and reading the emails. Sometimes they are really not very kind. I would really love it if they had a little, at moments, I know you're passionate, but we are the recipients of all this energy coming towards us. And it would be nice if some of the emails were a little kinder. Because it doesn't make it better for your case to be unpleasant. But I like to disregard, my theory in life is to disregard anyone's bad behavior and to just do what's right. So I am ignoring whatever I read that was really, I didn't think too pleasant. So, this next thing I'd like to say is I don't think either resolution is mutually exclusive. I think they're both inclusive of each other. I think they both basically have a lot of the same points, a lot of the same the definitions are definitely, much more, I don't know what the word is, on the people's resolutions, there's definitely more definitions. But I felt that the therefores and the resolution itself was pretty much the same. Because excuse me, you've had your turn. No? Yes.
Don't ignore it.
Well, you didn't speak, but you had the opportunity.
You had your opportunity.
Yeah, the
This is my
opportunity.
opportunity. I've waited an hour and
Yes.
whatever. So I think that there's definitely, I like both resolutions. I'm going to support Ken's resolution as well as the people's resolution. I know some of you may not be happy with that, but I don't feel that they're mutually exclusive. I feel that we've worked hard on both of them. I feel that one will just reinforce the other, and the Public Service Commission will have to deal with both resolutions, and that we will submit both of those to them.
Well, that's not what the people want.
We're back at the board.
It's at the table.
We're back at the board.
That is what,
Is it?
Okay, Jay, Kathy,
That
did
is
you
what-
know that you want to say a word?
Yeah.
Just basically that.
Okay, Jay, you said you had some
Yeah.
comments.
And I want to speak right now for the People's Resolution. By the way, I had the chutzpah at the beginning when I started to read to declare that the People's Resolution was clear and cogent. And I guess I had the chutzpah to say that the other resolution is dense and turgid. There are parts of it that go into details which are later ignored or dropped. And there's no reason to have a lot of prose in any part of it which is discarded later on, later on in the resolution. For instance, I mentioned when I was reading that definitions are critical. And I don't believe that there are too many definitions in the People's Resolution. I think that there are enough and that they are accurate and that they cut all the bases as I understand it. The People's Resolution defines Trojan meters. A crucial thing, as Michael Platsky pointed out, how dare they do a thing like that? Build a Trojan horse for us, the ratepayers. The People's Resolution asks for manufactured refurbished analog meters to be used in the opt-out program. The People's Resolution requires that a supply of new or remanufactured refurbished analog meters be kept in supply. The other one doesn't mention that. These are all things that are particular to the People's Resolution.
Yeah, Jay.
The People's Resolution has time schedules. Another crucial factor, that doesn't exist anywhere else in the other verbiage. The People's Resolution requires Central Hudson to inform the consumer, us, of their right to opt out. The People's Resolution was prepared by many people who have been recognized as being experts on this issue. And last but not least, the People's Resolution has been endorsed by over 800 people. That's been mentioned before, but I certainly wanted to reiterate it. That's no laughing matter. None at all. And so for all of these things, and without going through the other resolutions detail by detail, I can only say it's turgid. And it's full of verbiage that's not needed. And I hope that the board will support the People's Resolution as I do. Thank you.
Okay, so Ken, you did not have anything to add.
No. I'm going to do the same as Kathy. I'm going to support both resolutions. I think Ken did a good job. I think it's a good, tight resolution. I appreciate, and I said this at the last meeting, all the effort and time he's put into it. I think that there's been some very uncharitable things said about him that's really not been fair. So I will support his resolution. I will also support the other resolution. Jay brought it forward. With your help, and I appreciate that.
It wasn't their help, they did it.
And, okay, now I have the table. And I don't see that one resolution takes away from the other resolution. So with that, it's just...
Okay, well, I get a turn.
That's really nice behavior, thank you, folks.
I get a turn to speak.
You can't put it all over our eyes.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, you can't pull all over our eyes.
Hey, it is the board. board.
When the
No,
people
we are
are
back to,
speaking,
we
you
are
can't
back to the
override
board.
Joe?
We are back to the board. We are back to the board.
You are a bunch of sellouts.
Out.
You're selling out the Woodstock people.
We are back to the board. Okay, so
You all resign except for Jay Wayne.
I have two things I want to say.
They sold us out.
Okay, one thing I wanted to say was on resolution number 1, I think there's a typo. In the first sentence, I see the word retrain, which should probably be retain.
It was changed.
Well, but it's in the paper we're looking at. It's
I know,
okay.
can you change?
Okay, so that's the main thing has been, and I also wanted to comment, while I definitely like the work that people put into the people's resolution, and it's very complete, I also respect the work Ken did, and I'm not seeing conflicts. If both get adopted, I'm not seeing conflicts. The thoroughness of the people's resolution will be going forward. I personally don't see conflicts of both, and with that, I think the board has spoken, and the question's been asked to be called. Are we ready to call? We're going to vote on resolution 1. We're voting resolution 1 first. Do I hear, how many ayes do I hear?
Wait, I'm confused. Resolution 1 is Ken's
Ken's resolution,
Okay.
which was the second one read.
Okay.
Second one read, Ken's resolution, resolution 1. I heard, how many ayes did I hear?
Aye.
Did I hear Jay?
No.
Okay, we had 3 ayes, 1 nay. I think we can move to voting on resolution 2, the people's resolution.
Aye. So we'll vote aye.
Wow, okay, we have unanimous on the people's resolution.
Steve and Roger, I would suggest that you keep counting away with those petitions and that they all go to the PSC because really all we've done is made a request. It's in their hands now. And that's where it's most critical. And Jay will work on getting a resolution that we can send up to
Okay, we're still having a town board meeting. This is the last topic, but I want to ask the board, is there any other topic to discuss? Okay, almost done. Give me a second, Randy, give me a second. Jay, is there any other business? Does the board have any other business to discuss? We have a motion to adjourn.
Point of information, there was someone missing at this meeting tonight who I think needs to be acknowledged, and it's not been, and that's a woeful omission. Joe Nicholson, we all know what happened to him, and I think that it's incumbent upon the town board and everybody in this room to acknowledge the benefit that Joe Nicholson was to this town while he was alive.
And well said, Randy. Well said, and we, yes, well said to bring that up, and we do miss Joe, and he brought a lot of passion and spirit, and much missed, a big tragedy, very big tragedy. So I have a motion to adjourn, a second, I think. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.